Welcome to another deep dive. You know how everyone's always talking about simplifying and finding more happiness? Well, today we're going to actually dig into that.
Yeah.
We're looking at this article from Tickled Think. It's called How to Live a Simple Life and Be Happy. 12 powerful tips.
Okay.
And get this, the author actually talks about hitting rock bottom
Oh, wow.
and then using these tips to rebuild a happier life.
Hmm.
So I figured if they can do it,
Yeah.
we can at least get some wisdom from it, right?
Absolutely. And it's interesting, the article doesn't just throw random tips at you.
Right.
It starts with something really foundational.
Okay.
It's all about figuring out what truly matters to you.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get caught up in all the daily stuff and forget about, what brings you joy.
Oh my gosh, 100%.
Right.
I recently realized I was saying yes to way too many things.
Yeah.
That didn't actually light me up. I
Oh,
was just
yeah.
spread so thin, I
Right.
wasn't present for anything, let alone the things I actually cared about.
Yeah.
So this idea of prioritizing, it really spoke to me.
That's a great example. Yeah. It's about figuring out those core values and priorities.
Yeah.
So you can actually start making choices about where you spend your time and energy.
Mm.
And what's really fascinating is that this idea is connected to letting go of control.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
How does prioritizing make you let go?
Okay.
Aren't those two different things?
They might seem that way, but think about it.
Okay.
If you're trying to control everything,
Yeah.
you're basically saying that everything is equally important.
Oh, hey.
That's just exhausting.
Yeah.
And it's not sustainable, right?
Right.
But when you define what's really important,
Yeah.
you can start letting go of the need to, micromanage all the other stuff.
Okay.
That, honestly, might not even matter
Right.
in the big picture.
Okay, that's an interesting way to think about it. So it's
Yeah.
not about being passive or
Uh,
giving up.
No.
It's about being intentional with your energy
Exactly.
and focusing it on the things that actually matter.
Right. And this leads us to our next point, which is super relevant to you, especially with how much you love to learn and grow.
Okay.
The article talks about the danger of comparing yourself to others,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
especially with social media.
I'm already feeling called out here.
Yeah.
I can definitely get caught in that trap,
Right.
especially when you see everyone's highlight reels online.
Of course, it's so easy. But the thing is, social media is like a curated version of reality, right?
Right.
So the article talked about unplugging.
Hmm.
Now, this doesn't mean ditching technology entirely.
Right.
It's more about being mindful of how it impacts you,
Okay.
how it impacts how you see yourself and your own happiness.
So it's about setting boundaries with technology,
Exactly.
choosing to focus on your own journey
Yes.
instead of comparing yourself.
Yeah.
But honestly, yeah, sometimes it feels like everyone's always on vacation
Yeah.
or celebrating some big achievement, and I'm just here
Yeah.
trying to keep up.
I think we can all relate to that.
Yeah.
But it's so important to remember that everyone's journey is different, right?
Yeah.
So we should celebrate our own accomplishments and focus on what makes us happy.
Hmm.
Comparing ourselves to others only brings us down.
Yeah, that's a good reminder.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get caught up in what everyone else is doing that
Yeah.
you forget to appreciate your own accomplishments.
Absolutely. And the article shifts gears a bit here.
Okay.
It focuses on some internal work we can do.
Hmm.
It emphasizes the power of gratitude.
Okay.
Even being thankful for small things can have a huge impact.
Okay, I've heard about gratitude journals and all that.
Yeah.
But to be honest, it's always seemed kind of cheesy to me.
Uh-huh.
How does just being thankful actually lead to a happier life?
It might seem simple, but the effects are really profound.
Okay.
Studies show that gratitude can actually change your brain.
Really?
Yeah. To focus on the positive,
Wow.
reduce stress, improve your overall well-being.
Okay.
And this connects to the next point, which is prioritizing self-care.
Okay.
The article doesn't frame self-care as some kind of luxury.
Right.
It's more like a necessity
Okay.
for your mental and emotional health.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, myself included, feel guilty about taking time for themselves.
Right.
Like, it's selfish.
Yeah, but that's a misconception.
Okay.
Self-care isn't selfish at all. It's
Right.
actually self-respect.
Mm.
By taking care of yourself,
Yeah.
you're more able to show up for others
Right.
and handle life's challenges,
Right.
And guess what? The article then talks about decluttering your physical space
Oh, okay.
as a way to declutter your mind.
Oh, I love that.
Right.
I'm a big believer that a tidy space equals a tidy mind.
Yes.
I'm curious, does the article have specific tips for decluttering?
It touches on both the general concept
Okay.
and some specific tips.
Okay.
Like starting small, maybe with one drawer,
Got-
or a corner of a room.
Right.
The idea is that by letting go of physical clutter,
Yeah.
you create mental clarity and peace.
Hmm. Okay, so we've talked about prioritizing, letting go of control, gratitude, decluttering, all that good stuff.
Right, right.
It's amazing how it all kind of connects, you know?
It really is. It's like this ripple effect.
Yeah.
And speaking of connections,
Yeah.
the article then talks about something that's often overlooked when you're trying to simplify.
Okay.
It's all about relationships.
Oh, that's so true.
Yeah.
Like, when I'm feeling overwhelmed, I tend to isolate myself,
Yeah.
which honestly just makes things worse.
Right.
Does the article talk about specific types of relationships?
It's more about who you surround yourself with.
Okay.
People who uplift you, inspire you.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily about cutting people out completely,
Right.
but more about being mindful of the energy they bring into your life.
That makes sense, choosing to spend time with people who energize you. Oh, and that reminds me of something else from the article that I found interesting.
Yeah.
It's about the whole idea of wants versus needs.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one,
Right.
especially nowadays with all the consumerism.
Yeah, it's so easy to get caught up in wanting more stuff.
It's like you think you'll be happy once you get that new gadget,
Right, or that designer bag.
but then you get it and the happiness has gone so quickly.
Exactly.
The article's all about being more mindful about spending, focusing on purchases that align with your values.
So it's about asking yourself, does this purchase really matter to me?
Yeah. And does it fit into my goals for a simpler life?
Right, like, is it a real need or just a fleeting desire?
Exactly. And this leads us to the final part of the puzzle, which ties everything together.
Okay.
It's all about self-love and acceptance.
Oh, I love that.
Right. That's the foundation for a truly simple and happy life.
It's like that theme runs through the whole article.
It does. It connects all the other tips.
Yeah.
When you love and accept yourself, it's easier to do all the other stuff.
Right, like prioritizing, letting go, being grateful, setting boundaries.
That's about quieting that inner critic
Yeah.
and embracing your imperfections.
And I bet that self-acceptance also makes it easier to just be present
Oh, absolutely.
without dwelling on the past or worrying about the future.
The article reminds us that true peace is found in the present moment.
Yeah.
It's about enjoying each experience,
Hmm.
appreciating the simple things,
Right.
letting go of the need to control everything.
This has been such a great deep dive.
Yeah, you really have.
It's amazing how simplifying your life can be so complex.
Right. It's not about following strict rules.
Right.
It's about making choices that align with your values, designing a life that feels authentic to you.
So for you, the listener, what really resonated with you today?
Yeah, what stood out to you?
For me, it was the emphasis on being intentional. It's not about depriving yourself. It's about making choices that create space for the things that matter.
I agree. And it's an ongoing process.
Yeah.
There's no finish line.
Right.
It's about constantly evaluating and adjusting, creating a life that brings you joy and peace.
This deep dive has definitely given me a lot to think about.
Yeah, me too.
Hopefully it sparks some ideas for you as well.
We'd love to hear what you think.
What resonated with you the most?
What's one small change you can make today to move towards a simpler life?
Maybe it's like decluttering a drawer.
Yeah.
Or trying out one of those gratitude things we talked about. Or maybe just like setting aside some time for yourself.
Yeah, even if it's just a few minutes.
Right.
Small steps can make a difference
Exactly.
over time.
We've covered a lot today, from prioritizing to self-love.
We have.
But there's one last thought I want to share. It's something I was thinking about during our conversation.
Okay.
The article focused on individual actions, right?
Yeah.
Which is great, but what about the bigger picture?
What do you mean?
Like our communities, society as a whole.
Oh, interesting.
There's so much pressure to keep up with everyone else.
Right. To always want more, bigger, better.
It's like this frenzy that makes it hard to simplify.
Yeah, it's like we're swimming upstream against the current,
Exactly.
and a current that values busyness and all that.
So what if we changed our values?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah. What if we focused on well-being instead of possessions?
Hmm.
What if we celebrated simplicity?
Encouraged each other to slow down.
Right. And enjoy the simple things.
Now that's something to think about.
It's a big question,
It is.
but it's worth exploring.
How can we as individuals and as a society create that kind of culture?
Yeah, a culture that supports a more balanced life.
It's a good thing to reflect on
Definitely.
as you continue your journey toward a simpler, happier life.
Absolutely. That's a great point to end on.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder that this isn't just about us as individuals. It's about creating a world that supports these choices.
Right. A world that makes it easier to choose simplicity.
Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you got some inspiration
And some practical tips.
to start simplifying and finding more happiness.
Absolutely.
Until next time, keep seeking, keep learning.
And keep simplifying.
We'll see you then.